We've been covering the fallout over an absolutely embarrassing, ridiculous poster that Andrew Cuomo has been selling in New York to praise his own pandemic response. New York tough. It's really, a sort of mission accomplished moment for him, in spite of the fact, of course, that New York had tens of thousands of people die, the worst outbreak in the entire country, part of which was because of his own decision making, in particular vis-a-vis nursing homes. So we showed you here a pretty incredible moment where CNN broke from what had been their custom of just completely propping him up and elevating him as some magical lord of the pandemic and going on his own brother's show to get that kind of treatment. Jake Tapper actually called him out for this poster and for his handling of the crisis. Let's take a look at that.
Speaking of New York, New York's Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo seems to be on something of a victory tour, congratulating the state and himself for defeating the virus, even selling this poster, which shows his state getting over the mountain by bringing down the curve during the 111 days of hell, as the governor put it. The poster includes references to his daughters and a boyfriend, little inside jokes. There are no illustrations, however, of the more than 32,000 dead New Yorkers, the highest death toll by far of any state. No rendering on that poster of criticism that Governor Cuomo ignored warnings, no depiction of the study that he could have saved thousands of lives had he and Mayor de Blasio acted sooner, no painting there on the poster of his since rescinded order that nursing homes take all infected patients in. Here's what Governor Cuomo had to say yesterday.
What we went through and what we did was historic, because we did tame the beast. We did turn the corner. We did plateau that mountain. And then we came down the other side. And they will be talking about what we did for decades to come.
All right, so we have an update. Yeah. Those are very strong words from Jake Tapper, very accurate words in my view.
Great. Yeah.
So Governor Cuomo decided to respond, but he wouldn't go on with Jake Tapper. He went on a different hour.
The hour before.
The hour right immediately beforehand to push back on this. Let's take a look.
You said that the country is going to talk about what New York did for decades to come in taming the beast, and also for the poster that you put out earlier this week, kind of celebrating what New York accomplished. The country, as you know, Governor, is objectively nowhere near through this crisis. Are you celebrating too soon?
No, we're not celebrating at all. That was Mr. Tapper's misconstruction and his own political interpretation, which everyone is allowed. No, not at all. What we're saying is New Yorkers did step up and did flatten the curve. That is a fact. The people of New York unified. The people of New York were disciplined. They helped each other, and they did it. We went from the worst infection rate in the country to the best, to the lowest. That is a fact. Good for New Yorkers. I applaud New Yorkers.
One of the points that my colleague Jake had pointed out was that there's a lot in this poster that you all put out, but it doesn't also mention how there are more deaths than any other state in New York. Do you think the poster was a mistake in the midst of all this?
No. Tapper's point, as you just heard from the CDC report, Tapper should say that Trump is to blame for the virus coming to New York, because that's the fact. That's what the CDC just said. If Trump's government had done its job, the virus wouldn't come here. Governors don't do global pandemics. I was trying to explain that to Mr. Tapper. State governments don't do global public health. Right. That's not in the state charter. The federal government does that. The virus didn't come here because of anything New Yorkers did. The virus came here because the federal government missed it. That's what the CDC, the federal government, says today. We then had to deal with it, and New Yorkers did.
This is so ridiculous. I mean, once again, Donald Trump and the federal government did not force you to put elderly people infected with coronavirus back into nursing homes, forcing nursing homes in order to accept those patients, which killed thousands of people in New York State. That is why their deaths were the highest there is. And it tells you everything that you need to know. That number one, do you see how reluctant she was to even press him on it? She was like, was it a mistake?
Well, I give her, it's a harder question than he's gotten basically anywhere on the network, so I give her credit for that.
So I'll at least give credit, but it's like, look, you can't go on Jake Tapper's show to even confront. He was like, Mr. Tapper should have said.
Political construction.
No. Yeah. That is absolutely ridiculous. Donald Trump has done so many terrible things whenever it has come to coronavirus. Making nursing homes accept coronavirus patients was not one of them. Acknowledge your mistake. Acknowledge that it led to the deaths of thousands of people, and say, A, we learned our lesson. B, we have told states across the country, do not do the same thing. It's an unfortunate thing. The fog of a war, all of that type of stuff. I think people would forgive him for it.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is disgraceful. It really is.
It is an utter abdication of any responsibility to say governors don't do pandemics. Are you kidding me? And you know what? He's right. New Yorkers do deserve a lot of credit for the sacrifices they made and the way that they came together. This poster was not about that.
It was
him
about
saying people are going to write in the history books. No, that's about you and your ego. So I guess governors want to do pandemics. You, governor, want to do the pandemic when it's all praise and it's all good for you. But you don't want to take any of the responsibility for the bad decisions that you made that, yes, contributed to some of those deaths. And look, no one is saying that it's all your fault, right? No one is saying that Donald Trump isn't to blame for some of the decisions that he made. But you shut down too late and you made horrible decisions with regards to nursing homes, and have this mission accomplished moment and be completely unrepentant about it and abdicate all responsibility is disgusting.
Yeah, it really is.
Next week on Rising, author J.D. Vance is going to join us, as well as great friends of the show, Ryan Grimm and Zed Jelani, as always.
That's right. And executive director of the American Compass, Orrin Cass, is going to tell us about the Lincoln Project's dedication to ousting Trump from office, and other Republicans who might even agree with some of the things that Trump ran on. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe as well. And finally, we have some terribly sad news, which is one of our producers, Tiffany Hudson, is leaving the show. Tiffany's been one of the bedrocks here at Rising. She was an OG. She was here
an original
before even I was. Just somebody who we relied on every single day. The show is unfortunately going to suffer. So if you see some mistakes, it's because Tiffany is gone. So maybe you can beg her, as I have, not to leave.
We have a great team to back Tiffany up, but she has been unbelievable from the jump. The ideas, the teamwork, the hard work, the attention to detail. Just you couldn't say enough about this person.
Seriously.
So Tiffany, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tiffany.
And to all of you, have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.